Hello, everyone. That latest transmission has me thinking about my other dreams I was having, how they might be related. The dreams I think are related to Constance as well, but seen through the eyes of someone else. But without Mario's input, I really don't know for sure. He's still communicating, meaning he's still looking deep into his mind. Until he gives us more insight, we just need to stay the course, distract ourselves from the madness, and collect as much information as possible. There must be clues in the transmissions, like Mario said, and if we discover what this key is, it could be a tool for us to break free from this place. It's good that you could all play fantasy football in your minds to try and unlock that green ball. I'm not sure if any of it's real, but knowing the power of the green ball, it probably is. I noticed that a few teams might be getting closer to being the true contenders to be the next chosen one, and it includes a familiar face. I remember when I was winning champions in my league. It was actually this league, though it was in your future. Well, an aborted version of your future. Here we go again. Another transmission. Whoever you are, if you're listening, we need more information.
London, 2530. I keep hearing that it's coming home. Is it the key? No. It seems to be a trophy that never seems to remain here. This city deals with the polluted Thames River. And the doctor is on his 200th regeneration. Whatever that means. I float toward a massive clock. But something is wrong. The time. The year. More information needed. Isn't that right, Franklin? Whoever you might be. I float near iconic landmarks, and yet I feel ill, like I'm being pulled and split. If I am to collect the key, or pieces of a key, am I succeeding? Memories are hazy, thoughts are random. The darkness is getting closer, ready to consume me, nearly swallowing me up. Two team names stare back at me. None of it is comprehended, but I feel drawn to an outcome of something I don't understand. Nightmares are coming soon. This is a strong feeling. Everything is in motion. No. Everything happens in the past. Wait. Time isn't linear here. Tired of wandering. Is this my afterlife? Doomed to be breathed in by strangers in a world I do not know? Please. Franklin. The key. Protect the key. London, 2530. The protests that rocked this city when American football secretly bought up TV stations to displace an historic game. It didn't work. People won. But money never truly loses. Sundays are now for new franchises in the reformatted European division. These facts are meaningless, I think. Clues are irrelevant. Something is pulling me through this place, hiding me away. Something else is closing in. But wait. It isn't here. Danger is surrounding me too. But another horror awaits all the lost souls trapped Franklin, you must find Constance, or it will be the end of everything.
Welcome to the quest for the Green Ball, Lost in Dreamlands, and welcome to the final week of the first half of the regular season. 7 weeks are flying by in this league. I mean, can you believe it? It's really quick. This also marks the halfway point of the out-of-divisional schedule, and some teams are in desperate need of a win if they hope to remain in the playoff race with all the tiebreaker implications that are gained through this out-of-division 8-week stretch. But some teams are also feeling good about where they are, hoping to be pegged the mid-season favorite. And 2 of these teams are in the next is 5-1. Remember, the Titans travels to take on 4-2 More Than Conquerors in a battle of first-place teams in London, 25-30. This matchup is expected to come down to touchdowns, with both teams fielding strong lineups the last few weeks, but also they have injuries or byes affecting both of their squads. More Than Conquerors will hope Jordan Mason is healed up, and he does lose CeeDee Lamb to a bye this week, but he does have Deebo Samuel and might be getting back Nick Chubb soon, though he is in a rough offense. David Montgomery is another solid running back, scoring a touchdown in every game this season. Remember, the Titans is Rico Dowdle on a bye, but also should be getting Malik Neighbors back from a concussion to add to the strong wide receiver core that features Jamar Chase and A.J. Brown. The defenses will come into play here, with the Steelers getting a matchup against the Jets. More Than Conquerors has the Saints on the bench against Denver, but nothing is locked in for that team just yet. Chuba Hubbard is suddenly becoming a nice running back addition for Remember the Titans, but matchups for both Brock Purdy and Justin Fields are tough, depending on which quarterback is played. Expecting Purdy, but one of the quarterbacks will need to outduel Kyler Murray, who goes up against the Chargers. But there are 2 players I'm looking at here as keys to this matchup. For Remember the Titans, I look at running back Jahmyr Gibbs for a few reasons. One, Gibbs is heavily utilized in a 1-2 punch rushing attack with Montgomery, who we mentioned just a second ago, who's on the other side in this matchup. They tend to share the wealth every week behind a solid offensive line, but while Montgomery tends to get the majority of goal line carries, Gibbs tends to get more chances at razzle-dazzle plays. Gibbs has had over 70 yards in every game this season, topping 100 yards twice. More importantly, he has 4 total touchdowns in 5 games. He also has had at least 14 touches in every game. He's averaging over 5 yards a carry and over 6 yards a reception, and since Detroit loves to use the play-action pass, Gibbs and Montgomery are put into situations where they can run or catch. Looking to the matchup against Minnesota, they are currently number 1 against fantasy running backs, so it's not an easy matchup, and it makes this an intriguing game. Detroit wants to run and believe they could run against anyone. Minnesota is strong enough to stop the run. Jordan Mason had a big game against the Vikings in week 2, but Josh Jacobs and Breece Hall were kept in check in the 2 weeks before the week 6 bye. They did allow a receiving touchdown to the running back position and allow more than 6 yards per reception. So I expect Gibbs to be involved in the passing attack in this one as a way to loosen up the run defense. If Gibbs can not only score but also outduel Montgomery, it will be huge, obviously, for Remember the Titans, but it also might come down to Remember the Titans just hoping Gibbs ties Montgomery to avoid allowing an advantage at the position, especially with the perceived advantage at wide receiver. For the home team, More Than Conquerors, I'm turning to another running back. We've been running back heavy on these players to watch lately. Kareem Hunt. Hunt seemed done for his career after a failed last season in Cleveland, but Kansas City seems to cure all ailments. Hunt had 85 yards in his return in week 4 after Isaiah Pacheco went down, and he took over the workhorse role in week 5 with 117 yards and a touchdown. Actually led More Than Conquerors to a win. Carson Steele and Samaje Perine were not doing damage like that before, so we assume Hunt now has the number 1 running back role for the Chiefs. But can he continue to shine, or will he fade like he did in Cleveland? Well, especially since Patrick Mahomes lost Rashee Rice for the season and how the Chiefs cannot seem to push the ball down the field like they used to, it could be a concern. Not to mention how Kansas City has actually struggled to score touchdowns in the red zone as a team. The defense has been carrying them to a 5-0 start. Hunt goes up against a 49ers team that has allowed 4 rushing and 1 passing touchdown to running backs this season, but they allowed over 100 yards just once, and that was to Aaron Jones in week 2. And they held Kenneth Walker last week, although they gave up a touchdown. They've allowed more yards through the air to running backs, but Perine is more the passing down back in Kansas City's offense, and Xavier Worthy is being drawn up plays inside the 5 for his own touchdown opportunities. Both teams should be fresh, with Kansas City off a bye and San Francisco with 10 days off in between the last game and this one. If Hunt can once again be the workhorse and find the end zone, More Than Conquerors will be getting a big boost from the flex position, or it's just to replace Jordan Mason if he can't go. But if Hunt falls back to earth, it might be tough to overcome against the top-ranked team in the league. Now this one should be a great matchup with both teams combining for 9 wins so far. Obviously the first place battle there, both teams in first in their respective divisions. The rest of the league has some interesting storylines as well. Let's get to them in the best of the rest. Is on the line in this rivalry match as 2-4 Minerva's Minions hosts 1-5 Air Jordan. Kirk Cousins versus Anthony Richardson will be big. Saquon Barkley, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Kenneth Walker, acquired in a trade with Air Jordan, will look to lead the Minions. Brandon Ayuk and Cortland Sutton look to lead Air Jordan. The Minions are favored on paper, though they have a few tough matchups and a weakness at tight end. 1-5 Low-Key Lebowski Thor hosts 3-3 Risky Business in the next game. Baker Mayfield or Sam Darnold versus Jalen Hurts. Kyron Williams, who will be back from a bye, versus Elvin Kamara. And Justin Jefferson, also back from a bye, versus Marvin Harrison. Of course, this depends on if Harrison doesn't miss the game due to a concussion. Look to be the key areas. Risky Business is favored on paper, especially since J.K. Dobbins can easily fill in the flex position with Jerome Ford either hurt or losing touches to Nick Chubb. 3-3 The Overcomers hosts the 3-3 Elite Mother Tuckers in Toronto 22-35. The Elite Mother Tuckers have work to do with several guys on buys. Justin Herbert versus C.J. Stroud, Bijan Robinson versus Derrick Henry, and Devontae Smith versus Drake London look to be keys here. Devon Achane might also return from an injury, with the Overcomers going with the Colts as a bye-week defensive replacement, who face the Dolphins. This one is expected to be close. 3-3 Green Acres hosts 3-3 The Clash at Demon Head in Tokyo 1981. The Clash at Demon Head has some key buys to deal with, including Brandon Aubrey at the kicker position, and they will be hoping for the return of Jonathan Taylor and Brian Robinson to offset the loss of Swift, who's on a bye in the starting lineup. Jaden Reed is also banged up, but they have Christian Watson as a replacement if Reed misses. Green Acres needs to stream another quarterback and will probably pick up another defense, but Jordan Addison is expected to return to the lineup. The Clash at Demon Head will be favored on paper, but Green Acres continues to defy odds with great weekly management, which is why they are the defending champions. Lastly, 4-2 Pounders travels to Mexico City 1955 to take on 4-2 the Stellar Bitches. This one is a de facto second game of the week because of the records of these squads and how well the first half of the season has gone for them. Joe Burrow versus either Josh Allen, Jaden Daniels, or Lamar Jackson will be key. Joe Mixon versus Breece Hall and Darnell Mooney versus Chris Godwin also look to be huge. The Stellar Bitches and Pounders will need to make some changes with buys and injuries. Pounders will most likely be favored on paper, but the Stellar Bitches seem to always have a few tricks up their sleeve and a few potential beast games waiting in the wings. There are a few squads feeling like this is a must-win week with time for a turnaround running out, and the fear of coming under projections at the worst possible time is always on the cards, so nothing is guaranteed, with little to no room for error. The teams doing well do have some leeway, which certainly helps ease nerves and allows teams to go with the flow. But remember that regardless of what happens this week, there's still an entire half of the regular season to go, and it doesn't look like anyone will be clinching division titles anytime soon. And that's the show for the week. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll be back next week to continue our story and see how everything continues to shake out for those at the top. Before you go, check out the updated standings. Until next time, salut.